Nexo co-founder and managing partner Antoni Trenchev. He operates a rival exchange, it's fair to say. Antoni, what do you think about this dramatic blow-up? How bad is it for the entire industry?
Well, it is a very serious situation. There's no beating around the bush. I think that any sort of rescue, whether it's an acquisition or a liquidity injection at FTX, will be extremely tough. We are engaged in a similar, much smaller scale transaction, and I know what that takes. Binance looking at it for 24 hours and then deciding to walk away. The hold that started at $2 billion is now reportedly up at $8 billion. So, we need a person or a company that has $8 billion to spare and that sees value in FTX. And whether we have such a person, does he exist, and who that is, I don't have a great answer to those questions, unfortunately.
Well, it looks like they've reached out to, I guess anybody, but we're seeing Justin Sun from Tron, for example, reportedly willing to chip in $1 billion, and some other investors as well. Have they reached out to you? Is Nexo willing to participate in a bailout of FTX?
Well, they haven't reached out. I would be extremely cautious because, all of the information that is out there, clients' funds being lent out to the trading arm, which is Alameda, there are serious concerns around what unfolded there. So, any sort of deal to be closed out. I wish I could be more optimistic on its prospects, but quite frankly, I'm not.
What about Nexo's prospects? What's the risk or likelihood of something like this happening to you?
Well, to us, this is business as usual. We have zero exposure to FTX, Alameda, and all their affiliates. We withdrew all of our balances. The team is working around the clock, making sure that all transactions are processed in real time, as they should be, or close to real time. This is not the first crisis that we've seen, and we have safeguarded the enterprise against, any possible contagion. We did something last year. We pioneered a real-time audit with a third-party independent auditor, and we have real-time proof that our assets exceed liabilities at all times. We have challenged the industry for more players to do the same. Kraken listened. They did the same. This is right now the talk of the town. Everybody is talking finally about proof of reserves, real-time auditing. And I think this is one of the ways forward that could drive the space out of this mess.
So clearly some trust needs to be rebuilt. What are you hearing from your clients? Because presumably some of them may have had money with different exchanges other than Nexo. I mean, what's the bleed through here?
Well, it's difficult to assess so early after this whole thing happened. Obviously, our hearts, my heart, and the team's hearts go out to everybody who is directly or indirectly affected. We are trying to be part of the solution here, processing just transactions so that people can restructure their financing. What we are hearing across the market is that there are basically two types of categories of market participants. Nexo, Kraken, Coinbase, blockchain.com, all those companies that came out and said we have no exposure here. There are some companies that came out and said we do have exposure here, and it's better to be transparent about it. So, and there's a third category, which is companies that remain awkwardly silent about whether they do have exposure to FTX and Alameda. And I don't think we have yet see the full second-order effects of this meltdown of FTX and Alameda.
Please elaborate on that. Jim Bianco of Bianco Research, who we heard from a little earlier, had said to me dozens of firms could fail because they do have accounts with FTX. They may not get their money back. They may also have to figure out other ways to make their own shortfalls whole. How far does the contagion go?
Or they could be counterparties to Alameda. Let's not forget
absolutely.
how big that risk is.
Yeah, there's Alameda here too.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to measure the contagion potential. What we have heard is a number of different market makers, hedge funds that have, anywhere between 5 and 25, 30% of their assets on FTX. I don't think it's all gone. There appear to be some assets in both entities, so they will not be losing like 100%, hopefully not, but there will be significant write-offs, and ultimately what that means for the general public, whether this will be only retail investors or only institutional investors, but there are also retail investors. We'll just have to wait out and see.
Antoni, CZ tweeted out one lesson. The first lesson to take from this is don't accept your own token as collateral. Do you do that at Nexo?
I think what he actually said is a little different. He said that companies should not borrow against their own collateral, essentially what FTX and Alameda has been doing. We do not do that. We accept Nexo as collateral for client loans with a very low loan-to-value ratio. I think it is around 15% currently. It varies a little bit depending on liquidity, but no, we do not do that, and we are in line with CZ's opinion.
All right, Antoni Trenchev of Nexo, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your insight on such a crazy week in this space. And coming up, the largest stablecoin by market value is veering off its peg from the U.S. dollar. We'll have more on the state of Tether next.